what stood out with you, good and bad, in this game?
I think offensively we did a lot of good things and were able to capitalize on some certain situations. I thought it's good to see the power play get going and score a couple goals on it. I thought our penalty kill was good again. We did give up one on the penalty kill, but they were excellent early, particularly in the first period when we got down. And you play 82 games, you're playing the best league in the world. It's tough to win. You got to find different ways to win on different nights, and tonight we found a way to win. So I think it's real good for our team.
Rooney, Cini, bottom six jumping in there. What do you like about the way they've performed recently?
Yeah, it was nice to see actually just those two line combinations. I thought Zaka and Bratt and Cini played pretty well. They had some good speed, so it was nice to see them be able to get a goal in there, which was a big goal for us. And then Stafford and Boyle have, I think both those guys have played really well as of late. And I think putting Rooney in the middle, I thought he played really well tonight. You could see his speed was a factor, and those lines played well, and to get contributions from those lines is important, and that's the type of team that we are, is you have to get contributions throughout the lineup, and tonight we were fortunate enough to do it.
Coming out of last season, Blake Coleman said some of the goals that he scored in the AHL he realized were not NHL goals. He's got a career high now. Is he learning from those mistakes and finding different ways to score? What's been different about Blake this season? Where's he grown?
Well, it's really grown. I just think in his consistency and understanding what his identity is, and he's a great example for, I think, for a lot of young kids on our team and people in the organization, where he spent some time in the American Hockey League. He had an opportunity in the NHL, and he really understood what his role is and what his identity he needs to be as a player. And this year he hasn't veered from it. I think when you look at the way that he scored, I mean, he's got some goals from some breakaways. He's really established himself as an excellent penalty killer. He's put himself in position 5-on-5 to play against the other team's top lines, which then is going to increase your minutes. And it's nice to see that a guy like that was developed in the organization, and I think it's a credit to the player too. Like, there is development, but this is a guy that lives the right way, great physical fitness, unbelievable coach. He's very, very coachable, willing to buy in and accept a role, and he's got NHL talent, and that's the difference between some guys that really fit in and make it to the NHL and other guys that don't, and he's the perfect example of how to do it.
When you got up 6-1, is there a tendency maybe to lose a little bit of the edge or focus?
Yeah, we got to learn from that. I thought we did lots of good things, but we played somewhat of an immature game at times. We get up 6-1 and then we just go to sleep at the end of the second, and you can't do that. You have the opportunity to go in with a 5-goal lead. We didn't do that, and that's, I think there's excellent that we found a way to win the game and we won the game, but I think there's lots of learning lessons in this game of maturity and understanding game situations and understanding that every team in the league is good, and there's certain things we did tonight that we got casual at times, and when we got casual, we paid for it.
How difficult is it to evaluate Blackwood's performance in a game like this?
Well, I think right after the game it's difficult. I think this is one of these games where there was lots that had gone on, some highs and lows and some different things. So kind of go back through the video and then just see the scoring chances, reevaluate the goals, and see, try to give him a fair assessment rather than just do it right after the game.
Is there an inclination to roll him again tomorrow night?
I think that's part of the evaluation process.
This game really did seem too chippy, but then that last shift kind of came out of nowhere. Just what did you see going to happen with that entire line kind of getting involved with Boyle and Rooney there?
I don't necessarily know, because I wasn't in Murph's head, but I think he thought maybe Rooney's hit was cheap and it was basically a non-hit, and I think they just, then they went in from there.
I know you constantly preach the brotherhood and standing up for each other. Good to see Boyle jump right in and kind of try to break that up when Rooney might be in a little over his head. Yeah,
it's important. That's a big part of a brotherhood, is making sure that when something like that goes on in the ice, that you do have support and you have other guys that are involved. And it's like the brotherhood where I think Rooney gets accused of the hit, Boyle jumps in, and Lovejoy's the guy that has to wind up in a fight.
Of course, Cini had 2 points tonight, but what is it about him this season that he's been able to be a factor, even on nights when he's not scoring, fresh out of college like this?
Well, he's the type of player that he is, he's a fast guy, so he can play the way that we want to play, and he's extremely competitive with and without the puck. And he's another one of these guys too, similar to Coleman, where I think he really understands that to make it in the NHL, sometimes coming up and fighting your way into the lineup is understanding what your identity is. And there's some nights he gets lots of ice time and he has the potential to do what he did tonight. There's other nights where he might get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes, but he still finds a way to make an impact. And the one thing that never changes in his game is his speed is always a factor, and he's always a competitive player. Like, he's on the puck, he's physical, he gets involved in certain situations. The other night he was even with Gudis in the Philly game. I think he's one of our only fighting majors all year long is Bretzini. So I think when you look at that, that's the attributes he brings, and he's another one of these guys that's finding a niche and a role, and he's not giving it up.
Sweeney said that growing up he always kind of idolized Patrick Kane just because they're both smaller, undersized, fast players. What would you hope that Sweeney can take away from playing in a game with Kane, or playing against Kane?
Well, I think they're two different players. I think one of the things is Patrick has an identity. Patrick Kane has an identity of how he plays, and he's really excelled at what allows him to be an elite player in the NHL. And I think the understanding for Brett is what can Bretzini be to be a full-time NHL player and really be an impact guy. And I think that's what young guys or new guys in the league really do have to understand, that you have to find what your role is and what you can do. And I think if you do that at a high level, you give yourself a best chance to be a full-time NHL player.
Any level of concern with Miles? I know he left about midway through that third period.
Yeah, I haven't talked to the trainers yet, but obviously since he didn't finish the game, so we'll have to check probably on the plane and see where he's at.
So he will travel with you guys?
He will travel, yeah.